Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? I'm gonna be doing Uncharted 1 All Treasures, and if you saw Wildfire's Uncharted 2 All Treasures run before, you pretty much know what to expect. Basically, if you haven't played this before or seen this, the treasures are this game's collectibles, and gonna be trying to collect all of them. And this game has 61 of them, even though it says 60, which is a feature I think all Uncharted games have. But yeah, I'm gonna get started. We're gonna play on easy, since Explorer doesn't have treasures. And timer starts when I skip the first cutscene, and I'm gonna give a countdown to that. Thanks for the good luck, guys. So, timer starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
How the hell they find us out here?
So here in this first chapter, this is always kind of an auto-scrolled chapter.
These guys don't like you much, do they?
Where there's not a lot to do, basically. As a difference to Explorer, you might notice that you need to shoot these guys twice instead of only once. So on Explorer, enemies have less health. And on chapter 1, they take 2 shots, and I think from that, I don't actually remember them. They get more health as the game progresses. But here the strategy is pretty much just go to either side and take them out. Nothing too special. These are the last ones, and if you jump around this middle, you'll stop, I think it's 1 or 2 enemies from spawning, and you're safe to move when that boat appears. You can just wait here or clip into here, and I will get into clips later. You will be familiar with clips already if you saw Oscaris run off any percent of this. We will get to that soon. This first chapter is about to be over. And Nate can stand on this hot surface for whatever reason. Doesn't seem to faze him at all. So here's chapter 2. And it's the first chapter that has some treasures already. And some proper gameplay already.
Well, hang in there, old timer. We're just about there.
So in this game, when you are not in combat, the fastest way of movement is just jumping, like this, followed by shooting, and followed by just walking. So you want to be jumping as much as possible, and when there's no room for jumping, you can just shoot like that to keep up your speed. So here in this upcoming area, there's already 1 treasure. But we come back to this area in chapter 3, so we're gonna skip it for now. It's gonna be more efficient to grab it later. And here, hold on, you can just step on that branch and jump up with that, skipping a lot of climbing. And the fastest way to go downstairs is either jumping or just shooting. And there on the stairs I cancelled my roll by shooting my gun, and that's gonna be used quite a lot since rolls are pretty slow. We want to cancel them pretty much always. So here's the bread and butter. If you mash aim against the wall like that, you can just clip through it. And that changes a lot, I guess, in terms of gameplay. You can go through pretty much any wall, almost any wall. And to get faster times, you need to be pretty smooth with those clips. I guess main things to focus on when you want to try and get fast clips is try and get as close to the wall as possible and have a consistent rhythm in the aim spamming and know when you're clipped out. These haven't been the greatest examples of fast clips at all, but it's okay. Here, if you get a certain jump animation, you can restart checkpoint. You can tell it by if Nate jumps pretty high. It's kind of hard to tell, but you get used to it after a bit. Here's a clip as well that is a bit difficult. I'm going to take it. And I failed it. I'm really bad at this. Essentially you need to jump right after you clip through, so there isn't much ground there at all. And from here you can just climb up as well. Get this treasure. Oh yeah, and shooting upstairs or some slopes is faster than just walking up them or jumping, since you can't really jump up them at all. And here's already chapter 3, but we have been kind of going through walls, so the cutscene trigger doesn't load in. And it is going for a little swim. And this movement here is pretty decently complex. If you jump as soon as you hit that vine, you can kind of do a weird jump there and skip a little bit of climbing as well. We're not gonna go across with this vine since there's a treasure up here. I'm gonna get that one. That sometimes happens, which is unfortunate. Sometimes if you go try and do the fastest method there, sometimes Nate doesn't grab the ledge, which is weird. Well, now we can just go straight across since we already have the treasure. Isn't too much time loss. Here you can just drop down, skip a lot of climbing. And once we get to the other end of the sub, there's a treasure, and we're gonna restart checkpoint and just climb straight into the sub. There's a lot of different ways you can route this area, but they're all pretty much the same. Like only very small differences in time their routes take. This is just the easiest route.
Okay, I'm in.
It's safe to go with that. There's plenty of time to save in other places.
Soup.
And here, unfortunately, it's probably the most boring section, at least in my opinion. Other section might be the jeep section if you have played this game before, but I just don't like this at all, for whatever reason.
Pockets full of Spanish gold. Only the coins are stamped with a mint mark I've never seen before.
You're kidding me.
Looks like our German friends had a little secret.
There's a few things you need to know here, though. In certain camera angle changes, you can't just hold it the proper direction in advance, or Nate will go in the complete opposite direction. So you need to wait a bit for the camera angle to change and then start holding a direction. This game has features like that in a few places.
Cozy.
And we are getting close to the end of the sub. And this category is gonna start picking up a lot more after this.
That's probably bad.
Tried to go for a jump there. That would save half a second, but the angle is pretty precise. And I got hit by that. Usually just jump straight past him. Here we're gonna clip from here. This can sometimes be a bit difficult, especially for newer players. Gonna pick this guy's AK up, grab a treasure. And you can sometimes see me when I pick up a treasure shooting right after. That is to cancel Nate's animation of picking up, and you can start going right away, even in the opposite direction. So it is very useful sometimes. Here this is actually harder than it looks. It's a decently precise spot where you need to run off of so Nate doesn't grab anything. Yeah, I was actually supposed to shoot later, but I shot accidentally earlier. So that guy, I met that guy pretty down the stairs instead of up, but that is fine. You can restart checkpoint after taking those guys out. And on top of this ladder there's a small time save you can do like that. Blind firing to cancel some of the Nate's climbing animation. Here we're gonna go just a bit forward, grab a checkpoint, grab this treasure, restart checkpoint, which despawns 2 enemies here. Jump from here. I failed it unfortunately. It's a bit tricky of a jump. It would despawn these 2 enemies here, saving a bit of time. I'm gonna try and shoot here, which sometimes unfortunately doesn't give back combat speed, which is this Nate's running speed, by the way, if I didn't mention it already, which is the fastest form of movement. And here is the treasure we didn't pick up earlier. And if you've left someone alive in those catacombs and you blind fire into that cutscene, you can get combat speed for this chapter as well, which is gonna be very useful since we're not gonna spawn any enemies for the first half of this chapter. So we're not gonna shoot that lock and go through the gate like normal. Just gonna clip through, and the game thinks we still haven't made it this far yet. This is tricky clip number 1 for this chapter. There's sort of an area with moss in it, that's where you can go through. But it can be a bit tricky. And this is a pretty scary chapter, since if I die at any point, I go all the way back to the start of this chapter. And it's pretty notorious, at least scary, at least for marathons. So you really don't want that to happen. So in here there's going to be a small skip as well. There's this rock you can just run up, climb. Here if you stand on that tree trunk, it's an easy way to pick up that treasure, since usually it is pretty awkward to get. There's a bit of a tricky clip number 2. But there's a pretty good way to do it easily. You can't be against the pillar that's right in front of you. If you're just behind it, the game lets you through it. So there's one more treasure in the left corner over here, and then it's the waterfall section, which is the place we can die and go all the way back if things go wrong. So you really don't want to die here. Especially in jumps like that. But we should be good now. Yep. Now we got a checkpoint and we are safe to die, essentially. Here there's a small time save you can do as well. You can jump to this truck straight away and then jump to this rock, and if you make it in time you can skip that small in-game cutscene of the truck falling. And since we are on easy, we're gonna take a lot more damage, as you can see here, but 99% of the time we should live through that. I actually got my first ever death in that section just in a previous practice session. I had never died there before. Thankfully we made it through nicely. Here I'm gonna take this a bit safe, not gonna shoot yet to alert the enemies, gonna take it a bit more slow. This clip can sometimes be a bit tricky. I did get it first try, thankfully. There's quite many spots where you can clip through there. And if you saw the any percent run, they do a different thing called the barrel clip, but it is way less consistent on easy. It would be faster, but it's not gonna be first try most of the time. There, that trap can sometimes activate if you pick up that treasure there in the corner earlier, so you kinda need to be ready for the trap. Gonna pick up the last treasure of chapter 4. And head on over to chapter 5, which is the fortress, even though you can't really see it yet. And we can still climb it even though you can't see it. Here you just want to hold straight right no matter what the camera angle is to get enough speed from that vine swing. In Uncharted 1's climbing can be notorious for being not so great, but it is consistent when you learn where to not spam jump and so on and so forth. So it can be kinda nice for sure. I like the climbing in it, it feels safe, even though that might sound very weird to some runners. But once you learn it, yeah, it's very consistent. Here I'm not even sure if this route here is faster than just going around. Haven't timed it yet. And we picked up a grenade in chapter 4, and it is exactly for this reason. This is either the worst or the second worst section in the game, depending on how it goes. And that was perfect. Made it through very easily. If I could hit the barrel, no. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that is great that we got through that first try, no problem. It can be way worse, but it's been rooted to be a lot better than it used to be. Here we jump back and clip into this area to not spawn the enemies. You could do this encounter like you do in any percent, but it's a bit more risky and you're gonna have to wait to get your health back, so it's not as fast as it is in any percent. Well, this is just a safe way to do this. I'm gonna go for crank skip for a bit, most likely not get it, and just go the regular route. This is, yeah, I'm way in the pillar. It's a pretty notorious skip for being pretty difficult and random, but I got it. So no one in the world can do that consistently, as far as I know. We got it second try, and that's pretty good, even though it was a bit slow. It skips having to go to that crank. It does save quite a lot of time if you do get it first try. So here in chapter 6, if you have been following this category, this is going to be a lot different than what it used to be. It's a completely new route for this chapter. We're gonna go here like normally, but here is where the new route starts. We're gonna go the same way as any percent does. And it's pretty much gonna be the any percent route with a few exceptions. I was a bit too forward in that clip, so it was a bit slow. I'm gonna shoot here to get combat speed again. Get this guy's weapon. And on easy you can lose quite a lot of health here pretty easily. Okay, I lost a lot of health. I'm gonna restart here. If you haven't lost a lot of health, you can do this without restarting. Here's the new route. We're gonna pick up this treasure like that. And we are back inside. This clip can sometimes be a bit awkward. And here we are just gonna get the last treasure of this chapter. If you're curious what the old route looked like, I think you can watch some old runs in the leaderboard and see how different they are. Here is a bit tricky of a jump you can do, skip a lot of climbing. And that is pretty much chapter 6. Thanks for the good luck. And yeah, next up is the Jeep section, which is gonna be a pretty long auto-scroller. Especially on Explorer, you really don't have to shoot much at all. On easy you do have to shoot a bit, but it's still pretty much an auto-scroller. If you compare this to Crushing, this is probably the worst section in Crushing. It's really hard to do this deathless. It's quite often random whether or not you live, since these guys can kill you off screen. But this is easy, so we're gonna have an easy time, as the difficulty says. Yeah, you can shoot these trees and make them fall, which is an interesting detail, for sure. But this is sort of, or the runners feel like, even though this isn't technically the halfway point, sort of feels like a halfway point where you can chill for a bit before the next half of the run. And the second half is gonna be a lot more intense. Gonna be some pretty brutal sections. But we're still gonna have to chill here and wait that Elin drives us there. There's also gonna be some more vehicle sections, which are the jet ski sections, which most people don't like at all, which is understandable. And they can be a bit sketchy sometimes as well. There's one restart checkpoint in this chapter, there, when the camera angle changes. And that's a shot you actually have to do, or you will die. And then it's back to auto-scrolling. So in Explorer you can't just leave for the whole chapter, but I guess you can just chill for the most of it. So about a minute left of this. This is pretty long for sure. But at least it's in the middle of the game and not at the very start. That was some nice driving by that guy, driving to the rock. But yeah, here is where this game is really gonna pick up. And we are gonna go pretty much full speed to the end. Once the camera angle changes here, you can restart checkpoint. Get over here already. We're gonna pick up that treasure and just see these guys later and go out of bounds. And if you can fall there, it's a pretty small ledge that you have to run on. And here is the jet ski. First one. There's 3 in this game, and only in Glitchless do you go through all 3. So we're gonna skip one of them, and the second one is the worst one in my opinion. So you can be glad we skipped that. Most people think the third one is the worst. I guess that might just be because they don't really play the second one all that much, so they skipped it. But here there's also a small trick. You can shoot Elena's grenade launcher and you're gonna get combat speed again from that. So we're gonna pick up a few treasures from this area without spawning the enemies, so we can just run through and don't have to worry about enemies at all. So normally here would be a lot of enemies, but since we clip through and clip back out, we skip the trigger for these enemies and we could just run through. Well, this out of bounds section is pretty cool. We're gonna jump to this water here or swim up to it. And if you jump right at the end, which I managed to fail, you will not get stuck here. But thankfully I got free pretty easily. That can be something you can get stuck on quite easily. There I'm gonna pick up an AK and a grenade that we're gonna use later. This upcoming section also can be a bit scary, since if you do fall down on this balcony, it will be a soft lock since the game doesn't know where we are, and you pretty much need to load another save file or just quit. You can't restart checkpoint, doesn't let you. And thankfully we made it fine. Here's another new strat for this encounter. We aim a specific spot to throw a grenade and it lands perfectly on the turret guy, which allows us to just freely run through without any worries pretty much. You can do the any % route there, but it's not the most consistent, and that's just so much safer. So I personally just would rather do that and take a small time loss instead of doing the lot more riskier one. There's plenty of risk in the run already. Down here there's also a treasure. And we are coming to the end of this chapter, and we will be blessed by the jet ski soon as well. Just wanted to pick up that. Wes almost missed it. And you need to take all of these guys out before you can use the jet ski. And here we go. Everyone's favorite part, third jet ski. And here, for whatever reason, Lena doesn't have to reload. And tricky part is sometimes Lena doesn't really want to hit these barrels. I guess this isn't really the intended way. We're kind of supposed to aim and shoot, but we just want to keep going as fast as possible, so we're just gonna blind fire through this whole section. And there's a few spots where you can't just drive through and expect Elena to shoot the barrels, since like 90% of the time Elena is not gonna shoot them in time. One of those parts is coming really soon. For these 3 barrels, yeah, Elena is just not gonna shoot them in time. Just can drive past them. Here's some barrels as well. You can drive through them, shoot them, but I haven't done that after I've got killed by them a few times. So I just rather do that. Here is a bit of a scary section sometimes as well, depending on how much these guys shoot you. Like now, I'm gonna take cover behind this for a bit. Oh really, I got shot by a grenade launcher here. That's something. There we go. Took that a bit safe. I don't think I remember ever getting shot by a grenade launcher. I guess I left that alive. So, that is over.
Let's head up to the monastery and see what's going on.
You can either go around or clip through this. It's a bit tricky of a clip, you need to know where you can clip through. And continue on. Again, if you saw Oz's run, you will know that the glitchless route here is the faster one. And that is the case for all treasures as well. Oh, we're not gonna do any clipping here. Just intended gameplay. Oh wait, I'm restarting way too early. Thankfully I didn't. I forgot there was that guy still. That's good. Well, that checkpoint is exactly why that section is faster. That restart checkpoint is absolutely huge. But there you do want to leave the other sniper alive, since you can sometimes lose your combat speed. I didn't want to leave both of them alive, but it's fine. Still made it. There's also a treasure in that area that I just clipped out of, but we're gonna come back to that later and pick it up then. It is actually very slightly faster to pick it up at that point, but you would have to do a really hard clip. And most of the time it's not gonna be faster, so we're just gonna do the easy way. Here we used to go from the top floor, but you are safe most of the time to just jump to the bottom floor, go from there. Here, sometimes you can move after turning this, and I very much would like to know why. I've had it happen a few times, but if it's something that could be consistent, you could pick up the treasure after turning up, or turning both of those and then go and get it. I have no idea what causes it for you to be able to move there. There's a precise jump to this side. And he's hiding a bit. There we go. I used quite a bit of M4 ammo, so I'm gonna try and remember to pick some up later that I like to have. Here, this upcoming trick is pretty cool. We're gonna clip out of bounds, then run off, pause, load the area, and that was the fastest way that could have gone. That was perfect. Usually you land on the big archway, or at least I try to, and then you can most of the time just jump off it straight away. But that's the... oh wow, that's weird. I think I just jumped. So the game doesn't the game doesn't pretty much like it if you jump right near to an edge and then try and jump again. So I think that was something like that, but that was still a bit weird. But yeah, basically from the previous skip, that was the best outcome, where you don't even touch the big archway at all, since you can get stuck there pretty easily. That's the best option for sure. Here is chapter 15, which is also pretty brutal. It's notorious for the church section that is coming up very soon. Here I want you guys to remember this checkpoint. If I mess up at any point during this section, I go all the way back to that. I have taken quite a bit of damage, but I think I should still be fine to clip through. Yep. So here is the church, and some people really don't like the climbing in this section. Now there's some new jumps here, which is going to make it even more difficult, and hopefully get them first try. So here we're going to do a setup so we can grab a specific spot of this railing so we can jump or climb on top of it instead of over it, so we can skip a lot of climbing and then do a jump over here to skip even more of this section. Those are quite YOLO-y jumps. I have practiced them quite a lot. And then to top it off, there's a pretty difficult clip where there's pretty much no ground at the end, and you have to take that pretty slow if you want to do it consistently. And that was very good. Made it first try. So, next chapter might be the worst section in the game. So there's a new trick that makes it a lot more difficult. It does save over a minute though, or almost a minute if you do it or get it immediately. So it is definitely worth it to go for. About half the time you get it first try, and sometimes it just takes you over 2 minutes to get it. And in practice last time I had a pretty brutal time with it. Didn't get it at all.
Well, there's no way but forward.
But hopefully I get it pretty soon during this run. So basically it's a type of launch, and for launches I can't really explain how they work since I don't really know either, but it is a type of launch that you don't have to roll, so it is a lot easier to execute. You pretty much just press aim, forward and circle at the same time, and here it is. You need to shoot so you don't just go over this railing. It's pretty hard or annoying to set this up. There's so many different setups that work here, so I just pretty much YOLO the setup and hope it works. And we might stay here for a while.
Completely lost.
Nope. This is pretty much the biggest run killer that it can be. I did get this first try right away in my PB, which saved a lot. And there we go. That looks quite fantastic.
Sully, you read me?
And the hard sections aren't over yet. We're gonna jump here, grab this treasure, jump back, and then we're gonna do a precise jump all the way over here. You need to jump from a specific spot or you will die from fall damage. Then, since we didn't go the old treasures route, we can restart checkpoint over there, and it is actually faster to use that restart checkpoint even if you lose combat speed. And we're just gonna continue on as the same as any percent. We're gonna do sort of vault jump, and we're gonna do another one of those a bit later. But first is probably the third worst section in the game, this encounter. How much you get shot in the first few seconds can vary a lot, and if you get shot a lot, doing it fast is gonna be a lot more risky. We're gonna see how it goes. I do have a certain strategy to kill that specific guy, since he can easily run around. I'm gonna have to take cover here. If I have left them one person alive earlier, and I still got killed, that's unfortunate. Try again. I pretty much have a strategy where it involves a lot of blind firing, since I've tried. It is fast to just pick up a Wes and shoot everyone with that, but it requires good aim, and if you're on really good base you're gonna be nervous and your aim is definitely not gonna be in the best shape. So I've chosen a pretty easy way to do that fast. Second try is fine. I usually kill that shotgun guy in the corner there, since he can sometimes come up. I didn't used to do that before, but once he came up 2 times in a row, and after that I've started to do that. Here's another vault jump to this treasure, then another jump to this railing, and from this railing a jump to there. It's a pretty cool section. And upcoming here is one of my favorite sections actually. I think that is pretty weird thing to say if you know this game, but if you memorized the spawns here, this can be very fun. And here, by the way, if you drop into this hole, when the camera turns to Nate, you can skip the cutscene earlier. Oh, and I forgot to pick up the M4 ammo earlier. I hope this is enough. It is. Good. So, here is this, one of my favorite sections. You can shoot these. Oh. I already thought I forgot something. I did. That's too bad. I messed up the pattern. That's unfortunate. We're gonna try and remember it now. Got too excited and forgot the pattern. There we go. But if you do that properly and not like that, that can, whoops, save 15 seconds at least in comparison to not memorizing those. You can almost think that every second those guys are alive, it's a second lost. Doesn't exactly work that way, but you could imagine. So here, once this rope kind of changes its texture, you can start climbing it. Thanks for the good luck, Mac. And once this dialogue triggers, you can just come down already. It's kind of funny. And we're gonna say bye to Alina. and hope she's fine. Seems that way since she's somewhere here. Oh, there she is. Here we're gonna do a decently precise jump to this railing that is on the door. I line it up by looking at the spots on the wall. And we're gonna pick up a few treasures in this bunker area, but not go the intended way. We're gonna go backwards. There's a small 1-second time save where you can clip out of bounds here and jump on a small ledge all the way and cut to the stairs early, but if you die you go all the way back to the bunker, so it is pretty risky. So I'm unfortunately not gonna show it off this time. We're gonna clip through these two doors. They can sometimes be a bit tricky to clip through. That was very nice. And we're gonna travel through this bunker and pick up one treasure that's here. And say hi to Elena, who spawns here for whatever reason. Which is a bit weird, but sure. There's the treasure. And then we are gonna, just like in any percent, clip through here and jump the ladder. You can just climb it down, doesn't matter. And we get to chapter 20. Oh, almost went the 80% route. Almost forgot that treasure. I think I've remembered all of the treasures and haven't missed any. Hope at least. I think that's the right number. We're gonna see that soon. Yeah, I think that is all of them. Well, this is an area we were previously in. There's one treasure in the corner. We did that treasure over there earlier, but we left this one for this chapter. Slightly better to get it at this point. And we are getting closer to the end of the game. 2 more chapters to go. Which are pretty short. Clip through here and fall down. This can be a very annoying clip sometimes since you can get stuck. You have to restart. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Good. And there's one more treasure left, which is right over here. And there is 61 out of 60. So we got them all. Nice. Here's a pretty... Oh, that is very, very unfortunate. If both of those hit you at the same time, yeah, that happens. And I missed up the jump. Okay, I'll play that safe. That is very unfortunate. And now we're in the final chapter. Not too much to go. I'll give a countdown when to stop the timer. at the end. I'm gonna click through here, take a certain line so Navarro doesn't aggro. Clip through here again. Was a bit slow, we're fine. And then we are gonna do a pretty interesting trick right at the end here. It's not done in any other category, I believe. So in our Explorer you can just jump straight to. And Navarro, on easy you can't do that, you will just die. So, we do this. I believe that is when you die and hit a checkpoint right away. That's what happens. I'm not sure. Time is coming up very soon. In about 3, 2, 1 time. And that was it. Pretty happy with that. I think that is under hour. My screen, the stream is pretty delayed, so I'm just watching what time is. 59, might have been 35 still. Yeah, under hour. And that is a very good time, very happy with that. Yep. It is not the record, unfortunately. It could have been. I had still quite a few mistakes. Sub 1 hour is very good though. Very happy with that. Thanks for the GGs, guys.
Yeah, save the world, triumph over evil. Pretty typical.
Really?
So, if anyone wants to try and learn this category, I would still recommend try and learn any percent first. A lot of that is gonna carry over to this category, and it's gonna be very useful. Those skills that you acquire from any percent to this one.
You two got a funny idea of romantic.
For some reason, the clipping in this is a bit different. The camera doesn't move that much during clipping for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure why that is. It has something to do with the auto aim, but even when there are enemies around, it does that. Yeah, I do highly recommend this category. Anyone wants to learn this. It can be quite brutal, but if you take the time to learn it, it can be very fun. I think since we are ahead of estimate, we can, I guess, watch the rest of the cutscene if that is okay. Or is Matt ready to start his run? Well, I guess the cutscene is already over. Yeah, I'm very happy with that run. Thanks for the GGs again. Next up is Matt with Uncharted 2 any percent, I believe. Yep. Good luck to him, and enjoy the rest of the marathon. It's getting close to the end. Take care, everyone, and bye bye.